Good morning and welcome back to the Daily Thread.
Yes, good to be here. What's today? Thursday, right?
Today is Thursday, October 20th.
Okay, so
for those watching, you see I'm wearing a Be Kind sweatshirt,
yes,
which finally will be launching in Meaningful Minutes merch shop.
Okay, well, tell me the story behind that. How did you?
It's a school. We're getting into the second wind of the school year. Right after Yom Tov is when the school year really starts.
Okay, so it started today, actually.
I started today. Couldn't help but notice those kids waiting on the bus stop.
Right, I saw the buses.
And in the freezing cold weather, but
it's not freezing cold exactly.
It's pretty cold.
Here in New York, it's about 45 degrees. Right
Not as cold
now.
as your coffee right now, though.
No, I don't know. I'm still disappointing, but
someone made your coffee with some ice water this morning.
Maybe
you order an iced coffee.
Coffee has to be piping hot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. My father used to say, my father used to always have water boiling on the stove because you never know.
At all times.
You never knew when he wanted to have a really hot coffee. And he used to say in Yiddish, "Sedaf arois brennen the kishkes."
I don't know what that means.
It means it has to burn out your intestines.
Wow. Okay.
That's how hot it has to be. And I picked that up. I like really hot coffee.
Interesting. That makes sense.
Someone else might taste this and say, "Oh, this is hot. What are you talking about?" It's not hot.
Could be. But anyways, Be Kind is this initiative that Meaningful Minute is running to just promote kindness around the world. So we have swag, we have content that's coming out this month of Shabbos on meaningfulminute.org. So people can go ahead and get one of their own sweatshirts. There's a limited supply. You see in this office, we have these boxes here.
What does it say on the sleeve?
It says we rise by lifting others.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a nice little quote. But anyways, we have a lot to talk about today. First of all, you know what I was speaking about with someone over Yom Tov?
What?
I think is interesting to discuss.
Okay.
We were speaking about, there's a lot of people who went to Israel for Sukkot, a lot of people traveling around the world.
Right.
And, someone hops on a plane with their family for Sukkot.
Right.
It could cost upwards of, $75,000 to $100,000 to make a trip like that with your fammy for Yom Tov.
Yeah, I was just...
So the question I have is...
Sorry, go ahead.
Are that many people doing that well? Or are people... The question that was discussed was, are people going into debt to go on these extravagant vacations or these getaways, or do they actually have that type of money to spend? Okay,
so by way of introduction, to respond to that and tell you what I think, it just came from shul this morning.
Yeah.
And, 2 days after Yom Tov, people that flew in like to say Berachas HaGomel.
Yeah.
On a day that is Kriyas HaTorah.
Right, that's why you're late today. It took a while.
But that's how you know people were in Israel. How you know people's travel plans unless they get up there when they arrive at the airport.
And maybe they're still wearing the first class slippers.
No, I didn't see that. I didn't look, but I didn't see that. But if you what we call bench goimel, and people have either been in Israel for Yom Tov or been in the hospital or something along those lines. It reminds me of the olden days when doctors used to wear beepers instead of cell phones. Mm-hmm. And, you'd be in shul Shabbos morning and a beeper would go off. You knew that guy's a doctor.
Yeah.
So that's like a derivative or a special bonus to the whole equation.
So what do you think?
So about money. First of all, I believe the way things have evolved in terms of Eretz Yisrael and Sukkot, and I want to also make a side comment about that now that we're on the subject. You cannot calculate unless you have to be there because your kid is there or your young married children are there and you want to join with them. If you're going because you want to just experience a modern day Eretz Yisrael, Sukkot and Eretz Yisrael, then you can't calculate. You can't start doing the math.
Really?
You have to be able to spend.
Meaning you can't.
We sang the song "V'kaisi lechem bracha ad beli dai."
Yeah.
Okay, is it recording?
Yes, it is.
Right, we want the blessings from above ad beli dai without a limit.
Okay.
That's how you get there. It's just wrong. Without a limit.
You can't have a limit to make a trip like that.
First of all, we went, what was it, 6 years ago before you were married, right?
Yeah.
How long you married? 3 years?
Before Nissan was married also.
So he's married 5 years.
So it was right before
3 years. So it was 6 years ago, approximately, right?
Mm-hmm.
We paid for the Yom Tov meals in the hotel we were staying in, $250 per meal.
Yeah, I remember sometimes not being hungry for those meals.
Yeah, I remember you came down once to one of the meals and said, "I'm really not hungry. I'm really not feeling it."
You guys are like, "Well,
no, I didn't. Well, we can't tell you. Can't force feed you."
Well,
But by the way, the meals this year were close to $400 a person.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
So I mean, are people really affording this?
And by the way, it also this price gouging. Can you imagine? First of all, I've never seen really good potato kugel in Israel. The best they can get close to is a baked potato, unless you're eating
what's
at
with that?
somebody's
There's no good
house.
potato kugel in Israel.
I don't know. Certainly not in the stores.
There's also they don't have good cream cheese.
I don't know about the cream cheese. That's
So when
great.
Mashiach comes, we'll import some of our own.
They have great pizza in Israel.
Do they?
Of course, in Cafe Ramon and
Big Apple.
Big Apple, excellent pizza. So they know how to do it, but for some reason, potato kugel is not in the playbook.
Okay.
But
I'm curious how you're gonna bring that back to the conversation.
Oh, listen,
how'd that come up?
If you want a good piece of potato kugel, you probably could get it if you pay for it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's our good friends at El Al. Nothing to hide. A business class seat for Sukkot was $10,500 per seat round trip.
Okay, and I keep on bringing this up, and you're not giving me an answer. But
how do
business class is full, and first class.
How do they afford it?
Not how. I mean, people are doing well, but
You make
are that many people really affording it, or are people going into debt to make these trips happen?
Well, it could be that on some level that you're referring to, there's peer pressure, there's class pressure.
So I don't think so. Like I personally, you think maybe for making a bar mitzvah or making a wedding, people want to push themselves, but to go to Eretz Yisrael for Sukkot with a family, someone's gonna go ahead and push. Because other people are doing it, there's enough people staying home for Yom Tov that they could do it without feeling pressured.
When COVID started and there was uncertainty of which way the economy is going to go, and the stock market was plummeting, and people, couldn't go to work or lost jobs, I started working with two guys here in the Five Towns in an organization called FromBiz. Finding people placement.
Okay. Like job jobs.
Placement. And they worked with hundreds and hundreds of people and placed guys in jobs and helped organize their finances. They told me the biggest problem they found was credit card debt amongst
so
people.
I'm shocked by that.
You can get a couple of credit cards with $50,000, $100,000, $500,000 credit line, and you max it out. You know what they say? If you owe a credit card $100,000, that's your problem. If you owe them $10 million, that's their problem.
Yeah.
So and you have all these commercials on TV and radio about how to not pay your credit card debt.
Yeah.
Let someone else speak to them about, break it to them that, hello, I'm not paying.
Well, listen, if they don't pay it, they can always call Bridge Credit Solutions to fix their credit.
That's true. That's true too. So that has spawned an entire industry.
Interesting. So you're saying people really go into credit card debt, but you know what? I want to highlight that we can't ignore what's been going on over the last few years, especially since COVID, that there is a tremendous amount of wealth in Klal Yisrael, and there's a tremendous amount of wealth amongst the younger generation and generosity as well. I mean, I saw a stat from Charity, that's with a D, CHARIDY, the fundraising website, that they raised over $500 million for tzedakahs this year. Over $500 million on their platform alone.
What's that website?
Charity.com.
And they give you the numbers that people raised?
They before Rosh Hashanah, they put out a stat that over $500 million was raised. So $500-something million was raised for tzedakahs through their campaigns this year.
I was listening to a radio program that we mentioned yesterday about the yeshivas not providing a secular education for some of their students. And the person being interviewed on the radio overnight a couple of nights ago said that they're allowed to get away with it because they're uneducated. They can't find jobs. They're on public assistance, but they get away with it because they donate to the campaigns of elected officials. Mm-hmm. I thought to myself, they don't have jobs, they don't have education. Where'd they get the money to donate to the officials? Yeah. So to look the other way,
must have robbed the bank, right? Like they must.
I don't know. It doesn't make sense. You can't. Traditionally, historically, Jews have been accused of being the leeches and bloodsuckers of society, and at the same time controlling the money. At the same time, you can't be both.
Yeah, well, it kind of leads us to one of our stories for today, which is Kanye West going DEFCON 3 on Jews and going on these anti-Semitic rants online. I saw a headline yesterday that after Kanye West was kicked off of Twitter, shout out Elon Musk and his staff for doing some early work, although it probably wasn't them yet.
Right.
But after Kanye West was kicked off Twitter, he made a statement that he's going to make a bid to buy Parler, which is another social media website.
Yeah, is the deal being done with Elon Musk? You
I don't know.
weren't sure about it the other day.
Are you sure about it?
I know what I saw the other.
Being
the other
that
day.
here at the Daily Thread we do a lot of research and we try to verify our stories, I really hope it's true.
Well, the Daily Thread is actually like a big meeting of tens and hundreds of thousands of people who can chime in, and it's like the audio version of Wikipedia.
Okay.
Anybody could just.
Wow, I like that. The audio version of Wikipedia.
Anybody could. Hey, how about an audio Wikipedia? That'd be the biggest mess you could ever put together.
Shark Tank.
Everybody adding what they think. But what we saying about Kanye West? First of all, in our community, I think basically he's a non-entity. Number one.
He doesn't make a difference.
Number two, I don't mean to put him down. He says he's the wealthiest black man in the United States.
You could put him down.
No, but I don't think he knows what he's talking about. You see, he reminds me like every once in a while here the local newspaper, the Nassau Herald, for example, will run a story about a swastika that was painted on a bus stop or on a subway train platform. As a matter of fact, a detective called me from Queens because someone painted a swastika on a
5TJT box.
On a 5TJT box in Queens. They even got an email yesterday. I didn't return the email yesterday. Didn't answer them. Didn't call them. From a newspaper in Queens wanted to interview me about the anti-Semitic incident. These are probably teenage kids that are doing this, and they don't even understand the history. They don't understand what it means. They know one thing, that it triggers anger and offense and hurtfulness in Jews. So they do it. That brings you back to answer your question about Kanye West. I don't think he knows what he's talking about.
Well,
I don't think he knows what he's talking about.
I don't think he knows what he's talking
about. He's
about.
like one of those 17-year-old kids painting a swastika on a newspaper box.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, he's a 17-year-old kid with 50 million followers, 100 million followers, and the stuff he says causes more hate and more attacks on Jews.
I don't think he's going to be creating any more people that have hostility.
You're telling
to
me
Jews
that the let's say 100 million people who follow him.
Yeah. There's
not 5% of those people that are infatuated with him and really take what he says with.
Okay, I think 95% of them don't know what DEFCON 3 is.
I don't even know what DEFCON 3 is, honestly.
It's a military term. I don't know. Look it up on your phone. You're the one holding.
Well, he went on a rant the other day. He was being interviewed by Chris Cuomo, and he went on a rant that every single celebrity has a Jew in their corner. In their contract, they have Jews, and the Jews run the media, which is the oldest anti-Semitic rant.
Well, the non-Jewish world, I worked for non-Jews for many years. I worked at a radio station that was owned by fundamentalist Christians from the mid-1980s till the early 1990s. And I ran Jewish programming on that radio station. It was called WNYM. I don't think it's on the air anymore today. But it was owned by Salem Media, and I worked for a man who passed away recently. His name was Jimmy DeYoung. He was very nice to me. And we were the only, and it was part of the Salem Media Network. They own dozens of radio stations around the country. Anyway, he ended up moving to Israel. Jimmy, he made Aliyah. He moved to Israel, but he was a real missionary. But we had Jewish programming on that program, and he was very. The reason I'm bringing it up because he was very conscious of what it says in the Bible, in the Torah. When Hashem gave a bracha to Avram Avinu, he said, "Those that bless you will be blessed; those that curse you will be cursed."
So you gotta be nice to the Jews.
So, and this is part of the fundamental relationship between that world, the fundamentalist Christian world, and the Jewish community, is their consciousness of the fact. It doesn't mean they want to not convert Jews; they still do. That's their end game. I think that's as probable as a two-state solution that we discussed yesterday.
Yeah.
But in the interim, they're very conscious of the fact that that's the blessing from God. That the non-Jewish nations that bless the Jewish people will have a blessing, and the opposite.
Yeah.
So it brings us back to Kanye West, right? And so I think that you talk about he's not going to be making new anti-Semites, new Jew haters. I think most of the positions are filled.
I think I disagree with that.
Okay.
If I may, I think that again, there's many people who take what celebrities say very, very seriously, and especially young people who listen to his music and follow his career, and
that's a big problem because why would anyone care? Whether Leonardo DiCaprio got a vaccine or not, or whether
if celebrities became social justice warriors,
whether Madonna is against Donald Trump, who cares?
But again, celebrities became social justice warriors.
But you have to have some kind of grounding and some kind of expertise in what you're saying and what you're pontificating about. You can't have the guy in the bagel store across the street do your tax returns.
I understand that.
The guy's buttering bagels. They're good bagels. He does a good job.
Not your coffee today.
Not my coffee. That's why I didn't bring up the coffee. But he's not going to do your taxes. He's not going to know too much about the tax rolls that you need in order to file properly.
And therefore,
what's her name? The model and her sister Bella. What's her name? Bella Haddad.
Another anti-Semite.
They're not anti-Semites. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're talking about. They're saying things that are trigger words that they know is going to upset people. So they use them. And again, it comes back to what I said a minute ago, and that is that it's like the 16-year-old kid that paints a swastika on a newspaper box in Queens. He doesn't know the history of the swastika. He doesn't know what it means or why the Nazis used it, and about the persecution and the oppression of that world, of the Jewish community 75 and 100 years ago. He doesn't know anything about it.
I hear you. I saw a comedian the other day go on one of his bits, and I think it was Modi actually. So it was a Jewish comedian who someone told me that he grew up Hasidish in Williamsburg, which
he knows a lot.
He definitely does. But one of the things he said was the worst thing that could happen to someone who goes on an anti-Semitic rant or someone who commits a crime of anti-Semitism is the Jews will extend to him an invite to visit a Holocaust museum. And it's like, that's the worst thing that could happen to him. An NBA player who drops a slur against Jews, he's invited to go to the Holocaust museum. A celebrity from Hollywood who goes off against...
What's wrong with that?
I just think
if they say those things, they're lacking a level of necessary sensitivity.
Yeah, but the same courtesy is not given to any other person who says a racial slur, who commits a different crime. We're not invited to any other museums. If someone on the news says something against African Americans or Latinos, then they're canceled, and rightfully so. They shouldn't be saying that. But if someone goes ahead and says something anti-Semitic, oh, please come to the Holocaust Museum so we could teach you about the history, because it must have been a grave mistake of yours to say that. You must have been uninformed.
That's
the worst thing that could happen.
The Jews are a different kind of people. It says so in the Torah, right up there, which we're going to read this week in Bereshit. Before the Jewish nation was even, it's a nation apart. Bilam said it, that we're a nation that's going to dwell apart, and this is part of that apartness. Now, even though the prophecy, which is explicit in the Torah, that Bilam says that he sees the Jewish people being a nation separated from everybody else, we've dedicated our entire lives to be accepted by everybody else, which is exactly contrary to prophecy.
Listen, Hasidim don't partake in that. They don't really care to be accepted by anybody. They do their thing, and that's that.
No, that's true. But I'm talking about the overall entity known as the Jewish community, not breaking it up into little segments.
I don't know.
What else you got on your agenda?
Let's check out what stories we have today.
We're going to talk about baseball.
At Daily Thread. So it's very interesting. There's a dozen MLB players.
Active players.
Active MLB players that are going to be part of Team Israel this coming summer.
Right. So, discovering that a ball player...
Could you explain for those who don't know what Team Israel is and what the qualification is?
I'm not sure what it is. It's a baseball team in Israel, and you have
it's a World Baseball Classic.
Either an Israeli, you have to be Jewish in order to be on the team.
So
for some reason, I don't know. In the Israeli basketball leagues, most of the players are not Jewish.
And I don't know most, but each team has a number of players who aren't Jewish in the Israeli
There used to be a lot
league.
of ex-NBA players used to go to Israel, and they went through some kind of rinky-dinky conversion to be on the
No, because you know why?
to be on the team. But that's not necessary.
If you're an
anymore.
Israeli citizen, if you become an Israeli citizen, which you become Jewish, you become an Israeli citizen.
Yeah.
You there's more money allocated to your contract to play in Israel professionally.
Oh, really? Yeah, I didn't know that.
Because then you're not. Teams are only allowed X amount of imports. Imports are players that live out of Israel.
So it pays to convert for the money.
You get a better contract. That's only if you're really not that great of a basketball player, though. Because
you don't need a halakha conversion. Then you need a certificate.
Yeah, I don't think you need a.
You can probably get in like Kinko's or something.
Maybe Office Max. There's the stories from JTA that for the first time, players currently on Major League Baseball rosters are joining Team Israel in next year's World Baseball Classic, and there could be a lot of them. As many as 12 current major leaguers could be playing for Israel in the next set for Miami in March. They include Baltimore Orioles Israeli-American pitcher Dean Kremer, New York Yankees outfielder Harrison Bader, who's having an incredible
Okay, but let's go
playoffs.
on that for a moment. Here we have a New York Yankee player.
Jock Peterson.
Jock Peterson, we knew is Jewish. We heard that before. Peterson with a D, not with a
I know,
not with a T, like in Tom.
And there's a quote. It says, "It should be interesting next year with how loaded the other teams are," said Bobby Rosman, who committed to the team before making his major league debut with his name is Bubby, B-U-B-B-Y.
I guess he's
Who's
a
Bobby Rosman?
I guess
We'll put up a picture over here to see if he actually looks like a Bubby.
Okay.
Gotta get him like an eggshell on a teeth.
Maybe he looks like a Bubba.
If Ian Kinsler can get the major leaguers, I feel we can compete with the other teams in our division. So Ian Kinsler is the manager of Team Israel. He's Jewish. He played in MLB for a very long time. Again, like I said many episodes ago, baseball is a very Jewish sport.
It's exciting for kids that are baseball fans.
Yankee fans are going to go nuts. Harrison Bader is.
It's exciting for kids to discover for young Jewish kids. It's extra exciting, even to baseball fans, to discover that a player is also Jewish, because people end up rooting for their own people. That's just a natural thing for some reason.
I don't think so. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it makes any difference nowadays.
But I said
maybe back then
it adds something extra to it. Like in the old Mets, I remember there was a ball player, Art Shamsky. He was known as being a Jewish ball player, one of the stars of the Mets. Okay. He wasn't a star, really. He was a mediocre ball player.
Well, yeah, the Mets don't have stars, really.
Well, if they get the Mets, that's a different conversation. The Mets get stars usually at the end of their career when they can't hit and run anymore.
Like Bobby Bonilla, who we're still paying every July.
Yeah, Bobby Bonilla, others, going back many decades. That's just the way in New York. You get ball players that, he's a great name. He's just coming back from breaking both legs.
So you're saying that this is cause for excitement, the fact that there are that many major leaguers joining. I think it goes a long way that this many major leaguers are joining Team Israel, because I would think that they are boycotting Israel and they're not going to join the team, but they're joining Team Israel. That's special.
Well, there's like I said, there's an extra added attraction in terms of rooting for them, and it's a beautiful thing that American sport, notorious American sport like baseball, could make these inroads into Israel.
I agree. Another story that I found very interesting. Mm-hmm. I'll read this headline: a Haredi woman appointed as the highest-ranking female in Israel's fire and rescue services.
That was the first thing you sent me last night.
You don't think that was Mrs. Rachel Passam, a Haredi mother of 11 from Bnei Brak, was unanimously elected on Wednesday as the head of the Human Resources Department of Israel's Fire and Rescue Services. Passam, 55 years old, who is also a grandmother of 18, will be promoted to the rank of deputy chief, which is equivalent to the rank of a general in the IDF. She is the first woman to be promoted to this rank. You don't think that's a story?
We'll
show a picture of her family over here. Okay, what's the big deal?
I saw the picture of her family. So a nice large family. Baruch Hashem.
You don't think that's a big deal?
What is a big deal? By making it a big deal, you're kind of saying that.
What's a big deal because it never happened?
Under normal circumstances, this woman from this kind of background is incapable of achieving this kind of a high-level status.
Whoa, I'm not saying she's incapable, but it hasn't happened before.
You're denoting that she's incapable by announcing the news that, look what this woman did from this background with all these kids. Maybe that's the story.
So let me ask you a question. When Barack Obama was elected president, they said he's the first African-American president. Wasn't that doing the same?
That's a form of racism.
Is it?
That certainly is.
So every
time newspapers do that, the police commissioner and the woman that's the police commissioner in New York now, I think her name is Sewell. She's not the first black police commissioner, but she's the first black female police commissioner in New York. And what is that? What's the message What's the underlying message in these things? Here is a person that ordinarily, using your way you generally think, you would ordinarily think this person could not achieve this kind of high status. But look at that. She or he achieved that high status anyway, even though historically and it's commonly accepted that they're incapable.
So you're saying saying the story I just focused on was anti-Semitic.
No, it's a nice
Well, at that
thing.
rate, the story is via Yeshiva World News.
It's a nice thing. She's obviously a smart, competent person.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that she's a woman shouldn't be part of the story. But then you're saying that, are you saying that a woman is less capable of achieving high status or advancing in an organization than a man? You're not saying that. I know you're not saying that.
No,
But
she's a mother of 11. One second.
But you're denoting that. You're indicating that
so.
that's part of the story.
No,
Let's see what the people think.
Okay, but she's a mother of 11. She has 18 grandkids. She's in the high. It's very impressive to hold such a high position, no matter who they are, even if.
So the question is this: do you think? Do the listeners and the viewers think that this is a news-breaking type of story that deserves so much attention? It deserves little attention. It's a nice thing. The story to me is that she has 11 kids and 18 grandchildren.
That's what I think.
And that's
it is.
very, very busy in order to be able to pursue a career and advance in those kind of circumstances when you have so many distractions in your life. But that she's Haredi and that she's a woman, that is not the story. That's a backwards way of thinking. Didn't you tell me to say that? No.
I did not.
No, you didn't tell me to say that. But I think every time I read in a newspaper about the first Hispanic this or the first black that is sending an underlying message that, hey, folks, look at this. This guy achieved this and that. Under normal circumstances, he wouldn't be able to do it because he's X, Y, and Z. But that's not the case. Anybody can achieve anything if they just put their head to it and have their eye on the prize and want to achieve the goal.
I agree with what you're saying. I'm just mentioning something that is just I don't know. It's impressive that she's holding that position given the responsibility she has in her hands.
More importantly, are we still the number one Jewish daily?
I don't think so.
We're not number one anymore.
I don't think so.
Who replaced us as number one?
I think Meaningful People.
Oh, as long as it's in the same.
At least it's in the family.
It's in the same family, and it was probably because we didn't record for an entire week.
We didn't, yeah.
So we fell out of first place. So we should be back.
But who's looking? We do this not for the people. We do this.
No, but it's important to know where you stand and who you're reaching,
of course,
and the impact that you're having on the world.
Of course,
I see. I sent this out on my WhatsApp status, which you taught me how to do a couple of weeks ago.
I'm very impressed. You got it really quickly.
It's pretty simple. All you have to do is show me what to do.
Can I tell you something? Most things in technology are that simple.
Well, why do young people hide the information from people that were not born in technological
we hide the information?
You seem
it's just as available to you as it is to us.
But you seem like unwilling to part with it. And when you're asked to do something, you're kind of hemming and all like you have no time to do it. Maybe sometime in the future when the technology changes, I'll show you the old stuff.
I was speaking to someone about that on Yom Tov, about the technology changing. They asked me, what's the next big thing for Meaningful Minute? I remarked to them sort of jokingly.
This is it. We're sitting
This is one of them, but I remarked to them sort of jokingly in a spurred a conversation of just like concern. And I said virtual reality, having Shirim in the metaverse, that's kind of where we're headed. And they're very concerned about that.
You could bring back people you could bring back the Yasher Ber Soloveitchik in a hologram or Lubavitch Rebbe, and he could do it for bringing.
There's got to be something halachically wrong with that, no?
I don't know. It's possible. It's possible to do if you could do that. I mean, they have old groups that are not together anymore doing concerts.
Really?
The material is there. The shiurim for these Rebbeim, these Rosh Yeshivas.
Yeah, so you use AI, you use some AI, and you're able to do it. But it's a little bit scary.
How it works.
What's going to stop someone from having the Rebbe being Masada Kedushin at their wedding in a hologram form?
That's a different halachic problem, I think.
But that's where we're headed. We're heading to things, happening.
I'm going more to a middle level. I'm talking about you're talking about thousands of hours of
shiurim
that were recorded going back to the 1960s.
But this is the cause of concern when we get involved in this area. Listen, the same thing was caused a city field asifa when the internet, picked up in the Jewish world. I feel like there's going to be a similar amount of pushback when it comes to the metaverse.
No, it's an age-old debate that will continue forever, probably. until Mashiach comes.
I'll be honest with you. I saw some propaganda on Yom Tov. This paper handed out in a shul. I wish yeah, but I honestly think
about
it's
what?
I'm debating in my head right now if I should say the name of it and just out it because I thought it was so vile. But it was
Why don't you say it, and if you decide to cut it out later, you can cut it out before you post this.
Yeah, it's called and
it's not entity. I never heard of it.
Anyways, it was something that was put in a shul, and I had a whole paragraph. First of all, it's written anonymously, so that's how you know that something is just. But someone came over to me with it and they said, "Can you imagine?" And I looked it in and I was just shocked. It had such strong terms of even if you listen to a shir or you do a chesed because of the internet, the chesed is no good and the shir you listen to is no good. You're either against or for the internet. And if you're for it, then you're not, then you can't acquire any Olam Haba and schar from using the evil internet.
Well, you can't listen to crazy. Number one, you can't take a direction.
But it bothers me that that's what's being handed out.
Anybody can print anything. You can't take direction from crazy people. The fact of the matter is, refrigerators are dangerous. Because
sure, people can get stuck in there and freeze.
Get stuck in there, and there have been stories over the years where a kid climbed into a refrigerator and suffocated and never lost his life. Ovens are very, very dangerous. But every house has an oven. Every house has a refrigerator and a microwave. Try to put in something with tinfoil into a microwave.
Yeah,
like July 4th fireworks. But
I feel like you've done that recently. Huh?
The reason that God created you, and as we say in this week's parsha, blew the spirit of life into your nose and gave you godliness in your life, was to be able to use the God-given powers He gave you and to make decisions. The fact that some leadership is trying to indoctrinate thousands and millions of people that they're incapable of using their own decision-making process is a disservice.
Again, I don't think I have a problem with some leadership coming out and voicing concerns of the internet. I have no problem with that, but I have a problem with the anonymous stuff. I have a problem with the blanket statement stuff that someone who does Good is on the internet. Tony Massar is on the internet. Not that these are rayas, but
Ami and Mishpacha aren't on the internet.
They are, yeah.
They are, and I guess Hamadi is on the internet.
Of course, yeah.
And Head's on the internet, probably. I'm not sure, but they probably are.
Yeah.
If they're not, we'll edit this.
And I'm not saying no, they are. You sent me an article from them this morning. I'm not saying those are rayas, but I'm saying nuance. It could be used for good. Yes, it could be used for bad. And some people, maybe at certain ages, can't be trusted to use it.
We mentioned 4 Haredi publications, so I'm not going to identify which one, but I'm a very good friend of one of them and had the opportunity to ask him about the issue of those publications do not have women's pictures in the paper. And I asked one of them, what is the story behind that? You know what he said to me? This was about 5 years ago. He said to me, that was a big mistake, but it's too late to change it.
Interesting.
So
well, I think it's. I don't think it's a secret, but I think I saw in an interview Eli Paley, the publisher of Mishpacha magazine, when asked from Rabbi Ephraim Goldberg on his podcast about that topic, he pretty much said it's a business decision not to print pictures of women in the magazine.
It is now. It didn't start out as. I don't believe it started out as a business decision.
Certainly not.
And I think over more than anything else, it has done a disservice.
But I think Mishpacha has. They have. I think they. I don't want to say they started printing pictures, but
girls under the age of 12.
I don't know. It's honestly that this topic is for a whole new episode probably.
It's also it could be a topic for a whole new episode. It's also an endless conversation, that's how.
There's many people on many different sides of that conversation.
Well, that's some for some people it works. For some people it doesn't work. Some people you can't have a bottle of wine in the house because they're going to drink the whole thing. But other people could have wine in their house and they don't touch it for 10, 20 years.
I hear. Okay, I think that's our show for today.
That's it.
The U-Rock person of the day for me,
U-Rock.
Teachers and moras. Just seeing those kids at the bus stops this morning, being able to go back to work and get back to our schedule. It was very nice to have my daughter with me for the last 2 weeks.
Yes.
But bringing her to school this morning with a little smile on my face.
It wasn't like Shmini Atzeres was the Yom Tov where Hashem says to the Am Yisrael, I want to be together with you one more day, one more extra day. You weren't feeling that.
And then go to school.
Let's say you had school today. See, there was no school yesterday, so you were.
Which, by the way, there should have been school yesterday. Just saying.
But you should have kept the home today because you wanted to be with her one more day.
Maybe.
But you're not on that level.
You know, maybe her Zadie show. Maybe her Zadie show watch her today.
You're not on that level yet.
I'll call Sean. I'll ask her. You know, maybe you guys.
You're getting there.
How about does 10:30 work for pickup?
When?
You'll take her to the zoo, maybe.
Yesterday, no problem.
Okay. That's our show for today. We'll come back to you real soon with another episode of the Daily Thread. You can always go ahead and message us or email us at thedailythread at meaningfulminute.org. There is a link to sign up for Meaningful Minute WhatsApp in the show notes and the description. And of course, this episode is powered by
Powered by
us sitting here in Hashem right now. That's who it's powered by.
It's on Spotify, Apple,
YouTube. Please leave a 5-star review, a rating, and leave us your comments because we'd love to see what you say. This is the Daily Thread. My name is Nachi Gordon.
Larry Gordon here. In case people didn't know who we were,
it could be.
Why don't you put the names underneath?
That's really old school.
But one time in the beginning of the program,
I think they should know by now.
Well, it's only the 6th or 7th program that we're doing, so all the people join in now.
They're not hard names to remember. I think they got it.
Someone said that they didn't know who you were talking to. Some old guy that
off the street.
Or some old guy you brought in just to...
But now you got a haircut. I think you don't look like some old guy off the street.
Yeah, my hair was longer.
I don't know, maybe.
It's going to grow back.
Okay.
Yours grow back.
Mirtz Hashem. Mirtz Hashem.
Have a great day, everybody.
Bye-bye.